Great. Okay. Okay, so hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this. It's a very important session that we're having today. This is Tamara McCaffrey from the Lawyer Strong program. I'll give you a little bit of background about Tamara. She is the director of Lawyer Strong, Inc., which is a mental health, well-being, and peer support program for Manitoba's legal profession. This launched in 2022. Tamara actually practiced law for 27 years, practicing in the areas of criminal law, civil litigation, utilities law in the first half of her career. She then stayed home with her young children for a few years and then returned to private practice, specializing in family law, which she practiced then for 10 years. Tamara is the chairperson of the Mental Health Review Board. A lot of our clients are dealing with things with the Mental Health Review Board. She's practiced in small firms and then in a big firm, and then finally found what she calls her perfect balance between work and family life as a sole practitioner, utilizing technology to enhance her practice. She's an advocate of taking care of one's health in all areas and in being a community builder. Tamara served as co-chair of committees with Collaborative Practice Manitoba and the Riel Evate Endowment Fund Committee in her community of St. Vital, where she works as a volunteer. She retired from private practice in order to focus on developing Lawyer Strong and promoting strategies to enhance resilience and building wellness and community in the legal profession on a full-time basis. So again, this is very important work. Just for the record, everyone knows I'm going to be muting you if you are online. Please mute yourselves. Otherwise, I will pass this over to Tamara. There is a PowerPoint. Tamara, did you have some things to say before we start the PowerPoint and share the screen?
No, you can fire up that PowerPoint. I'm just saying, I'm sorry that introduction was so long. And I'm actually not volunteering with Re-Elevate anymore. No, I finished my term there, but.
Sorry, I was using last year's bio.
Yeah,
so everybody knows.
That's totally on me. But it's too long. So sorry, thanks for listening to all that about myself. But the point of that little bio though is you really do create your own life here. And we're going to talk about one of the ways that gets you through it is your values and your why. That's how we're going to start. That's how we're going to start this session. Okay. I would,
give me one sec here. I'm just trying
to have information. What I do is I spend like half my time, courses, reading books, articles, conferences on mental well-being, particularly in the legal profession. And then I have the other half is in support, like supporting different members of our legal community. Art. So we have supported lawyers through future lawyers, our students. We've supported our articling students, junior lawyers, senior lawyers. It doesn't matter how old you are. You know, life is what it is, and your level of experience. So we have over 85 lawyers so far that I've trained. We peer support volunteers for each other. So our community is big. We've supported over, well, I'm sure he supported over 60 different lawyers and students since we started. I trained my very first group of 4 lawyer volunteers 3 years ago. 3 years ago. So that's how quickly it's growing. So we're really established now, but we're still quite new. And we're always here for you anytime. And you'll find no judgment here. You'll find just it's confidential. Nothing that comes through us it goes to the law society or anything like that. But it's also because we have so many different people. We're very fortunate to have such a big base of peer support volunteers. So someone is going to have gone through something that you may find yourself struggling with or something similar. And so the idea is we connect you with different people who sort of been there. It's like, oh yeah, I totally hear you. And they're on the other side of it. So there's the hope, right? Could
I just get someone online to confirm that you can see the slide that says Lawyer Strong? It's a blue slide.
Yeah, I can see them.
Perfect. Just wanted to make sure. Perfect.
Okay,
wasn't working there for a moment. So with that, I'll pass it on to you, Tamara, and it's the arrow.
Arrows.
Yeah, these ones just back and forth.
Okay, fantastic. So there you go. So that's a little bit about Lawyer Strong. And for those of you who've been going to law school, you've all heard me tell you all about Lawyer Strong, but we're always there for you anytime. Let's go to this next slide. So I have to get, let's see here. There we go. I have to do it online and do it there too. Okay, let's go. This is the icebreaker. Isn't this fun? So what I want to hear from you folks is two things. There's that was supposed to be a Slido, like an online super cool technology thing that you could like on your phone, but it's not going to happen because we don't have that kind of Wi-Fi capability here. But so what I'm going to ask you is two questions, and I want you to think about them. And if you want, you can just write it down even for yourself on the back of that scrap of paper I gave you. So one, what is your why for coming into this work? And two, what are the biggest challenges in articling practice so far or summaring so far? I know an article, you're in court all the time, and I remember those days. And it's like your precious hour in the office where you actually get to look at it's hard. It's crazy. It's wild. I absolutely do not, I have not forgotten. So why don't we go around the room? Why don't we start with our in-person folks, and then our buddies online? You can either share however you want, like if you want to use the chat, or if you would that be the easiest, or if you want to just speak by unmuting yourself.
At this time, Ms. Anderson attacked Mr. Williams with a large.
Oh, hang on. Somehow we got just a sec, Kate. Somehow it switched. Why did it do that? I don't know. It's okay. Never mind. Update. So, okay, who's going to start?
Don't make me pick someone.
I can start.
Okay, Alex.
Yeah, the questions, right, are why,
Your why?
and then what I've found challenging with articling. Why? I don't know, I did a philosophy degree for my undergrad, so I've always appreciated something where you can kind of, play with a sort of puzzle or an idea or something like that. So I was always attracted to law for that reason.
Intellectual.
Yeah, there's not a lot of jobs at the philosophy factory anymore. So,
Mhm.
and then I'd say the biggest challenge is that the system kind of keeps going at the same pace, like regardless of when you start in with it. So there's a lot of stuff, like orders or various parts of the code or something like that, that you actually kind of do have to know, but the system isn't going to necessarily slow down and say like, well, we're going to give you some time to learn it. So you are learning a lot of stuff on the fly.
Mhm.
And I think the easiest way to deal with that is just realize like you're not a superhero. Nobody's expecting you to, be perfect and that stuff. Everybody does this every year, and just ask questions, be humble, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great. That's a great growth mindset you have there, sir. So that's wonderful. Thank you. Who wants to go next? Otherwise, I'm going around the room. Okay, I'm going. Here we go. Hello, Raven. What's your why?
My why for legal profession was, I think just growing up in like a family, like an Indigenous family, of the legal field being a difficult thing to navigate, but also not being allowed at one point to have a lawyer or be a lawyer. So I think it's just a good uplift and like change of the system, like putting another voice in the field. Challenge for summer student stuff would be just learning curves of like figuring out like the way like for King's Bench, I guess for me and family law is just figuring out how certain things are accepted and then certain weeks they're not accepted because the court registrars have changed their mind on how the process is in that week. So learning that over and over again.
The form. I hate the form myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. So your why is just making things better and more equitable, right? Coming from an Indigenous perspective and wanting to help people, empower people. I've got it. And your challenge is the forms and the getting past that registry.
Yeah.
It stresses everybody out.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, Georgette?
For the why, I had known early on that I wanted to go into law. It's just something that I've always wanted to, especially anything that has advocating in it.
Advocating?
Yeah, but youth criminal law in particular, it was just like something that happened to me when I was younger, and I wish there had been someone to advocate for me, and that's what I want to do now.
Okay.
Yeah, so my work, well, I just knew that I wanted to work with children, right?
Work with children.
That's why I really wanted to go into youth criminal law, or at least do some type of like youth work.
Yeah.
Even like family law would be really nice as well.
Great, awesome.
And then, what was the second question? The most difficult or like the biggest challenge so far?
Yeah.
As a summer student, I think for me, it was just learning how to better present myself in front of the children. Like when working with them, how to make the situation in some way better, more comfortable, especially since I worked a lot with first appearances. And then that's what I found the biggest challenge.
So in interviews,
Yeah,
you're saying? Yeah.
like just like even like the smallest interactions right before 402, like when I'm taking attendance or taking their application, especially when you look at the application itself and these kids are coming in by themselves usually
No.
without an adult, and you
Mhm.
can tell how nervous they are.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Okay. So you're already seeing connection to your why, even in as a summer student
Yeah.
here. You see kids coming in, you see a need there that you can fill eventually. And your challenge is just learning how to fill that in a compassionate way that kind of creates space and makes it a little less terrifying.
I just want to make sure that I come off as approachable as possible to these children.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm in my suit, and I probably look scary when I first walk in. But yeah.
Sure. You know what's just right here and right here. Yeah. Okay, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. All right, who do we got next? Hold up that name card.
Steen Ward.
Hey,
My why for coming to law school is because I want to help people, but I also wanted to kind of challenge people's thoughts and beliefs on our prison systems. And I thought a law degree would help me to become a better advocate as well as give me the tools in order to challenge these kind of systems. Something I've struggled with is similar to what has already been said, but kind of learning how to do things while they're also needing to be done. So struggling with maybe it's taking me really long to do something that maybe it shouldn't take me as long to do, but also giving myself the grace and the room to recognize that it's going to take me long to do some of these things, and that's okay. And then it just gets faster as you do them more and you get the experience. So I'm thankful to have be in the opportunity where I get to have this experience to learn now.
yeah, for sure. And when you say you're worried about taking too long, do you have any baseline to compare that to?
No, it's just in my own mind of
There you
feeling
go.
like it's taking me a really long time, but my supervisor,
Time.
yeah, my supervisor is great though. She says that it's okay and it's going to take you long, and we recognize that. So when I first started, I was not always putting in my full hours into Lamis because I was afraid that someone would look at it and be like, why is Christine spending hours on this? But she told me that I need to be putting my hours in.
Yes, do it. I did the same.
Doesn't change when I get-
I asked that specific question. I always thought things took me too long. And so I would just write down the time.
Right.
And then I never actually had a baseline to compare that to.
No.
And this is like after many years of being, practicing, like it was always kind of a thing for me. So, so that's why it's good to just, hey, notice that stuff if that's you. It's not everybody, but it is lots of us.
Yeah.
Cool, good. Write down that time. It's good information for you too. Okay. Hello.
Hello, my name is Caitlin Clark.
Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. My why, I've always really been interested in the legal profession, because especially defense work, standing up for the little guy and making sure that their voice is heard, and advocating for them. And I think it's a privilege to be on the side of the justice system,
Yes, it is.
and being able to use that privilege and advocate for those who really need it. And then something that I've been struggling with in my summer student role has been not being perfect, and like realizing as a student, I have this opportunity to learn and like just say that I'm a student and kind of fall back on that. But I always find it frustrating that I don't know everything. And so, just, I've been learning to, accept that and, enjoy it because you actually get to learn so much as a student.
Yeah, you'll never stop learning, I don't think.
Yeah. But as a student, I feel like you get to fall back on it a little more.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you very much, Caitlin. Okay, so your why is, you want to help people, you want to advocate for people, help the little guy, and you want to work with folks who don't have the same privileges and power in this society. And so you're definitely in the right place here. And then your challenge is just learning that almost humility too, but also just really, it's not humility aside, it's actually just getting to know our humanness, like that we don't know everything. You'll never know everything. I don't think you'll ever be able to memorize the entire criminal code, for example. And you don't need to. You just need to know how to find it when you need it. And then know what you need for your particular case. You will become an expert at things like evidence, and you will become an expert at court procedure, like it will just happen over time. But and then the legal areas that you do a lot of work in, you'll gain that expertise for sure. But always learning. That's one thing about, what you were saying, Alex. I often was bored and I had wonderful rewarding jobs and did different things before I was a lawyer. But, the problem is I could get bored, and I was never bored since I became a lawyer. Like that challenge will always be there, which is wonderful. So anyway, thank you for sharing that. Okay, hi there.
Hello, I'm Diego Castro Cron. I'm not an articling student myself, but I'm a summer student at the intake department, so I'm taking applications.
Okay, I'm coming closer so I can hear you. I don't want to freak you out, sorry.
Sorry, I'll speak a little louder. Yeah, I'm Diego. I'm not an articling student, but I'm a summer student with the intake department.
Yeah.
So I'm just taking the applications for people applying for lawyers here,
Okay.
and then the other firms and stuff. I guess my why is I think from a young age, like my parents like always told me like, oh, like you have to like do something, and like I guess like I always looked at like other people and like people that like I looked up to at a young age, just like I want to kind of like be like them, I guess. My mom used to be a criminal defense lawyer.
Okay.
So I was just like, she's just been a big role model for me just growing up, and so like I just like very interested in like the things like she would do in that profession, and it's something that like I'm interested in.
Cool.
And so I'm only in my second year of undergrad, so like a role like this is like I think a really great way to sort of like get sort of like introduced
Yeah.
to sort of like the different like dynamics of just like what like this profession is like about. So I still have like a lot to learn, but it's been really enjoyable like the whole way through. I think the most challenging thing so far has been trying to understand like when how to like I guess present myself or like carry about like the way I go about some difficult phone calls, because people call in like very difficult situations where like they themselves like can be going through like really stressful situations, and a lot of that can just end up being relayed, and so just trying to navigate that as best as you can. I'd say at the beginning that was like something that took me like a little bit by surprise with
Yeah, how
so many
hard
calls
it
there.
is sometimes for
Yeah.
things that people are experiencing.
Yeah, but at the same time I think it was like an opportunity to understand and like take their perspective and what they're going through, and be able to just understand other people, and I guess learn more about other people in that way. And that's something that I'm still learning and really enjoyed.
Okay, so that's the challenge too, like it's so different than what you're used to. So you just learning how to kind of hear these stories and then, process it all, right? And gaining that insight as you go. Yeah. Okay. And your why, it's something that you're familiar with, your mom's was there, and you've seen people in this profession, and so there's some comfort level there for you in that sense of what this profession kind of does. So this is a great opportunity for you. You're still an undergraduate in law school, so just to see if this is something.
Mhm.
I have it, is that?
Yeah, I would say so, yeah.
Great. Okay, hi there.
Hi, I'm Alana Swaite.
Hi, Alana.
I'm also not an articling student. I'm a summer student with the intake department as well. I don't plan to go to law school ever. I'm in my fourth year, I'm going into my fourth year psych in honors, and I plan to get a master's and a doctorate in honors and to go into criminal psych.
Yes.
So my whole why is like, I've always been fascinated with how the psyche of criminals are. My grandparents sadly introduced me to true crime shows way too early. And it changed my brain wiring way too early to find it like, why do people do it? And why do people end up on death row? And what do their pasts push them to do in the future? And working here has really shown you that it's like different ways of growing up really influence their time in the legal system. Like you can see like criminal records that people have gone through and you're like, there's got to be something that's happening either with our criminal justice system that's not tailoring to people's mental health where they struggle within it. So it's something that I'd like to change by like seeing how people live within the criminal justice system.
So you want to learn more so that you can eventually help people.
Yeah.
And particularly perhaps with mental illnesses or work with people who are in the criminal justice.
Yeah. And then my hardest time, I feel, is like coping with taking applications. It's like you get people that are like, they're at the worst of the worst and they kind of sometimes take it out on you, but you kind of have to be like, well, have some sympathy for them because it's like they're going through it. Like I can't be like, oh, they're an awful person because they're yelling at me for having a rough time, right?
But it still doesn't feel good to be
No,
yelled at.
it doesn't feel great to be yelled at. But you kind of just, it's been harder to cope around it and find ways to like just de-stress after work because like I'll get off after spending basically 6 hours taking phone calls. And it's like, I just want to go to sleep at this point. And it's nice working here. I love working here. Way better than my part-time job, but it's just a little bit more stressful than it's ever been working somewhere else.
Yeah, I hear that. Okay, thank you very much for sharing that. I'm coming back next week because he said, good, this is making notes to help me just kind of keep the conversation going. So as we talk together. Hello, I'm Tamara. Okay, I'm also a little bit deaf, so if we could just write that down for me, because I can't hear the consonant sound. I'm sorry about that. I once was at a session and they were telling me what their name was, and I was going through the C sound, the D sound, like it was just, it just went on too long. So now I just say, let's do this. Thank you, Elkanah. Beautiful. Thank you, sir. Okay, Elkanah, we're going around and we're asking people, thank you. Asking folks to share two things. Your why for being here in this work, and the biggest challenge that you're having so far.
So, well, I'm an articling student.
Okay.
I recently started like last month.
Yeah.
So this is like my 5th week. The biggest challenge, I think it's similar to what she said about knowing that people have a story and there's something that's led them to where they are, and also sometimes asking what's the. So I work with the prison law clinic, right? So
You work
the
with
prison law clinic.
Okay.
Prison law
clinic.
Yeah, so most of the people that I get to deal with are people who are already convicted, who have already spent some time in jail. Some of them, that's not even like their first sentence. It's not the first time they're serving jail time and all of that. So it's trying to, I guess, walk through the legal, the human, the thread around all of that. I think
very complicated.
Yes, and both at the intellectual and at the human level. where it's like, okay, well, the laws, I do lots of like administrative law and criminal law and that sort of thing, and balancing all of that. But also as a human being, trying to understand people's story, why they are where they are, and what does this mean for their future. So for example, I could represent somebody who has applied for day parole, or statutory release, and they get that. And there are conditions attached to it. And these conditions further limit their freedom. So they are free, but then they are not free.
Yeah.
But then also some of these conditions is to protect them and to protect other people.
Yeah.
And so and sometimes that's even, constricts and restricts them. There's somebody who's on that restriction where they cannot access the internet, right? And these days, a lot of the job applications that you do, you apply online. And there's a requirement in their condition that they must get employment. And so you see how it becomes even more difficult for them to apply for jobs.
How do you win? How do you get out of that?
Because they cannot access the internet.
That must be very frustrating.
Yes,
to see that.
yes. So getting to see all of that, I think that's one of the challenges for me. My why. So I've done, even before I joined like litigation, I was in academia, and I did a lot of like human rights work.
Okay, so that background and interest.
Yeah, so that has always been my why, the reason why I'm involved in this. Like, how do we help people, and basically how do we protect people?
Awesome. Great. Thank you for sharing that. And the barriers that you see and the people's stories, so you same thing, you're eye-opening, and you're hearing this, getting more connection on a human way with people who've had very different experiences. And then also seeing these barriers and these conditions set up, but yet how do you meet them when you see that? And seeing some of the limitations in the system is very challenging. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Hi.
Hi.
Sorry, I'm lurking behind you.
Yeah, I'm Janessa, so I'm a current articling student at Health.
Okay, can you?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Everyone has to do it. Yay. Oh, Janessa, you were there on the computer saying you were coming up. Hi, Janessa. Okay, so you're a student at Kilk?
Yeah, an articling student there. And I think for me, my why was honestly because in high school, I realized I was like horrible at math. Yeah, so
that's the first time I've heard that why. Okay.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so then I thought with my skill set, like law could be a potential career. And then also at the same time, I started watching Suits. So yeah, but yeah, so that kind of what brought me here.
Is your why the same?
Sorry?
Is your why the same now that you're here articling? You've gone through 3 years of law school. Is it still the same or has it changed?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are certain aspects I like because I've always been into like reading and writing, but yeah, it's still kind of true, to be honest. But
yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then I guess one of the challenges I've had is just kind of managing deadlines because there's a lot of lawyers in my office, so I think I'll have time to complete a memo, and then it's like all of a sudden, oh, can you do this? Like it's a priority, so. I sometimes feel bad when I say I'm going to get something done and then I have to ask for like an extension. That kind of bothers me.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, just another thing too is like, I manage like our intake calls as well. So we have very like strict kind of narrow criteria that we have to follow, if we recommend applications. So yeah, it's kind of sad at times because I hear people's, stories and they've been through a lot of adversity and yeah, their mental health is really not well. And I just feel kind of bad knowing that we'll likely, reject them like right after hearing like the intake call. But, it kind of is like the system and we're allowing them to have their voice heard. But at the end of the day, it's kind of, yeah, sad knowing that like we'll reject a lot of people. Yeah.
Who reject a lot of people?
Just like our office, yeah, just for our intake system, because we have like pretty strict like criteria. So
right,
yeah,
of course,
like
you don't need it.
Right.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's challenging too. Hearing people, they need help, but it's not help that you can provide within this particular parameter.
Yeah, and they just kind of have nowhere else to go given their like economic situation, and we're kind of like their last hope. But
yeah, okay. So when you can't help, that's hard.
Yeah, just because I'm on the phone with them sometimes for like 30 minutes and people are emotional and yeah, it's just kind of like mentally draining too. And then knowing like we're not going to be able to help them. So
And
Yeah.
like the milk stuff, you do so much of it, like there
Yeah.
isn't a justiciable remedy to any of it on top of.
Yeah.
Sorry for.
Oh, no, it's all good. That helps.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Peter?
Yeah, I'm Peter. I guess the why is, I guess there's a couple of them. First of all, a bit of a lifelong underdog complex. Why not throw me in the defense bar? Winning bails gives me dopamine. That's great. Watching a crown scoff and then the judge quote what they scoffed about is. Also, the criminal bar is very camaraderie filled. You see folks who have been working together for 20, 30 years and they have their little romances that have developed and it's the defense bar thing.
So happy to hear that. It's awesome.
Sometimes they end up having beef at the end of all of it, but usually they don't. And then, yeah, I'm the late bloomer in the friend group. Bunch of friends had already been lawyering for a bit. And I thought, well, if these idiots can do it, I can probably do it.
I think you get along very well with Peter Kingsley with that sense of humor.
And I think I'm okay.
Law school with Peter. Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm okay in Peter's book, so I'm not fishing for more information on that.
We're not so sure. Well, we're not so sure.
Remind me of him.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
I'll take it.
Just kidding.
And then biggest challenge is, I mean, I'm massively ADHD, so I mean, you're kind of always juggling the things and learning how to build the systems and structures that let you.
Being at a desk with all the papers hard when you have ADHD.
Yeah, and I mean, my office is fairly clean right now, but it could be cleaner. And it's, it's the learning how to article and be in 3 courtrooms at once, with judges being like, you aren't senior enough to be double booked, Mr. Frajak. And it's like, yeah, that's fair, Judge Pullen, thank you. Yeah, and then I guess the other frustrating bit is like knowing where you don't know. Like in summary at my offices, like I was dealing with a lot more of the serious like 14-year type sentences or like multiple interference charges. And when you're trying to remember what a simple assault is worth in resolving dispos, I just don't have that gut microbiome yet. And it's
some of us never, I always have to look it up with every case I did. Plus you never know what the newest sentencings are too, so you don't need to memorize.
Well, and I mean, you look at how much post-treason law has inflated in the past 2 years. Like what was an appropriate sentence 2 years ago? I feel Manitoba courts have been, pumping that number up.
Okay.
There's
so
a
trend
there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll quit talking about myself now.
But it's good that those are good. Those are challenges. Being triple booked, it's challenging when you're an article student. They're paging you. You've got to be in this one and this one. I remember I was there because I used to do criminal defense when I started. That's how I articled. Not with legal aid, but in a very, very busy criminal law firm. I was, awesome running between. But for ADHD, you can kind of thrive under that pressure in some ways, and sometimes that can work for you because that hyper focus can kick in, right? But
I heard someone from Phillips get paged today.
Oh, I'm sure you did. So we've gone through everybody, but all the students.
Good.
And I'm going to do the students first, but not you, sir. Sean.
Hello, my name is Sean White. Before law school, I was in the Canadian Forces for almost 10 years, and for the most part, it was okay, but it led to an eventual lack of satisfaction and certainly a lack of command and control. So I wanted to solidify my profile. I did an IR degree. Now I'm in law school to become a lawyer. My goal is to help clients solidify my profile, I like to analyze human behavior. And this is a good pathway to, in terms of solidifying a profile to eventually go home and represent my constituency in South Vancouver. And
I was wondering what this profile was this like a Tinder profile or a. You're talking, okay, I just a little joke with you. So your profile with your, like, just generally is that people can see what you're all about and you want to go back to Vancouver?
Yes, and eventually either work as a federal politician or get into global politics. And yeah, I do enjoy helping people, however, and challenges are exceeding my own very high expectations, being patient and finding any possible satisfaction.
Yeah. Okay, but those are important challenges for sure. And common challenges, those your very high expectations for yourself. You strike me as a very disciplined person that achieves, very goal oriented. And so, yeah. And then of course, in this field, you're thinking on your feet. Sometimes you've got create volume. You don't have time to kind of methodically go through. You got to go, and you're learning. So it is very challenging because it ain't perfect and it's kind of messy. Right? And that would be, I could see how that'd be challenging. And your why is this is broadening your profile. This is broadening your experience so that you can bring that then into the public service realm and help people.
Yeah.
Yeah, at a global or local level. That's fantastic. Great. Thanks for sharing that. Would any of our senior friends like to share their why or their biggest challenges at your stage of your career?
Yeah, I'm at a much later stage. Some of you, of course, met me, Marcel and Marion. This is Friday. I'm kind of dressed casual here. At this stage of my life, one of the things that I would encourage younger lawyers to do is to seek out meaning. And I do this a lot through storytelling. So I storytell a lot of experiences and weave it into what I need to do kind of now. And so I don't like saying storytelling just for storytelling, but I've worked a long time with Indigenous people, and this is basically a way of teaching, and it's a way of taking in experiences as well. And I find, like with our clients and my own work, we're all at the seeker level in many ways. So yeah, I thought maybe I'd share that. Storytelling is a big part of my survival and creative side in the work. And most lawyers I've noticed this a little trait is creativity. And so I'd encourage you to follow on your creativity, seek meaning where it comes. That's through your clients or your experiences in courts. I have a fantastic storyteller here, my colleague, Catherine.
Yep.
And I really, truly enjoy those kinds of exchanges that we have.
How many years?
Sometimes I want to take a bottle of liquor and say, hey, let's have a glass of wine here and talk about this.
How many years now have you been here?
I joined, I became a lawyer as a second career, so I can relate to what you've been through. And I've been a lawyer called to the bar since 2000.
So 25 years now. And how about you, Catherine? Thank you.
I'm currently a 20-year call. I got my call to the bar in 2005. Criminal lawyer all those years. As to why criminal law or why being a lawyer, I had no intention of becoming a lawyer. And I actually recall laughing at people in high school who would do another however many years of school. And I got a job like 2 weeks out of high school typing for a lawyer. So after like 15 years of working my way up to be a paralegal, I just thought, and my employer at that point encouraged me, like, you should probably just go to law school. So I did. And I had planned to do civil litigation until I started working at the clinic at the university. And then I realized criminal law was just my thing. So that was sort of the why. It was a roundabout way of ending up being a lawyer. As to the things that I'd struggled with, I think one of the biggest things looking back through my career is trying to balance your life with your job. It is very easy, particularly when you get to be a few more years out and you're doing much larger cases that involve week-long trials or multi-week trials, especially jury trials, things like that. You tend to forget about your life and do nothing but work. And sometimes you have to do that in this job. However, you got to learn to balance that a little bit. Forewarn your family in advance. By the way, I got a month-long jury trial coming up in 3 weeks so that they know. But you have to remember to take care of yourself, which is a lot of what Tamara is trying to talk about. And secondly, take care of your life, okay? Because next thing you know, I think in law school, I remember listening to the dean back then say, like my first week of law school, that a lot of the students there that were actually married would end up divorced by the end of law. They actually said that in my first week of law school. And I was with someone I've been with for 35 years, and I remember thinking, no, that's never going to happen. However, a lot of people did end up divorced through that. And a lot of it is because you're ignoring your life. So that I think was the biggest struggle for me because I was a bit of a workaholic at a lot of points in my life. So that would be my advice to everyone is look now at strategies. And this is why things like this course is so important, is to try to teach you those strategies and just to even recognize that that's what you're doing. So you're wishing your life away for the next case, basically.
Yeah,
So
that's right. This is all life, all this learning, which never ever stops ever, is life, life, life. So just drink it in and find a little joy. And this is great wisdom from very senior lawyers who've been.
one other thing I will say is most lawyers I know are bad at math. Just so you guys know, including myself.
There you go. You're in good company, Jen.
And secondly, I think if anything, other people are saying that you're concerned because you just feel like you don't know anything. I think doing this job, it teaches you that you never know everything. Okay. Like even as a 20-year call, if I'm walking into a case, I got to look at everything ahead of time because like, even though it's the same assault police officer or whatever, each case is different. And like the sentence that someone's going to get is different. It depends on their background, their history, the criminal records, like all these things. It's going to be different every single time. So if anything, the law teaches you that you know nothing. And really, I mean, the law changes constantly. And my take on things was really the law is whatever I can convince this judge that it is. So you just keep that in mind. Like, just because it says somewhere that a different jurisdiction or whatever, that doesn't necessarily mean that's what the law is going to be here.
Yeah.
And you could set that. So.
So agreeing with everything, these folks are saying, these are kind of universal truths. Like it's good. You taking care of your health. Our culture has been traditionally law first, everything else second. That's the only way. The best lawyers always put law first, everything else second. So that culture is changing and evolving, and that's what we've been talking about the past few years, right? And you folks are the future, by the way, and that the next 10, 20 years, they are going to fly by, and you'll be here. And so
maybe teaching this course.
Yeah, you'll be teaching the course, you'll be judges, you'll be partners, you'll be senior directors, you'll be whatever you want to be, and whatever you choose to be, you'll be politicians, you'll be the prime minister perhaps. But you'll be whatever you choose to be. And whatever you work towards and wherever your life takes you, you'll make up your own story, and you'll make it valuable. But always, when you get so busy, keep in mind a couple of things that you guys have all identified here that are kind of universal. One, relationships, you need them. We need each other. We wither on the vine if we can't have some connection. You don't need a million. You just need a few good ones. But you need them, and you need to tend them. You need each other. You need to, and different kinds of relationships. Doesn't have to all be like an intimate relationship. It can be, you need some relationships. You need to be able to share with each other. And the way you create it is by sharing kind of your experience, which is why I took all the time to kind of get you guys to have a chance to share, because it's important, because now you're hearing more stories. Does everyone know all these things about each other already? Or no? There, so it was time well spent then.
Yes.
Okay. Now we have a few folks there that are online. How many?
Just give me 1 sec here. Okay, I'm just gonna go down the list. I see CW. I'm not sure who that is, but you have your hand up. Do you want to unmute yourselves? And
I'm gonna have a hard time hearing you. Did anyone use the chat?
Hold on 1 second here.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on with my video. My name's Cody Wyoming. I'm in Dauphin.
Hi, Cody.
Hey guys, nice to see you all. Sorry you can't see me. I would love to share my why
Yeah.
and what I'm struggling with here. Um, yeah, so my why originally, I was really never able to fight for myself, and I think that mirrors other people's experiences. And I grew up as a bigger kid than everyone else, but I was a bully for a bit, and then I realized that, you know what, I'm not defending myself in my own life. So I started really, really fighting for other people to the point where, like, at school, if we join a team, I'd like pick the person that nobody would ever get picked first all the time, and people just hated me for it. It was great. And as an adult, I did some advocacy, but when I got into law school, I realized it was more about I was trying to get my parents to love me, and it didn't change anything. And then I realized this was for me. This was my love to myself.
Yeah.
But the one of the biggest things we struggle with here is, you know, uh, in Dauphin, there's the culture's a little bit different, and there's definitely a need for lawyers, but nobody really has trained before. So it's a learning curve for everyone here, except Trace, who's been with legal aid for 40 years, you know. So that's it's tricky. So we all have to remember that everybody's learning at all times.
Absolutely. And everybody's learning at all times. And everybody needs, what do we need when we're learning for ourselves and each other?
Patience and grace.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Remember that. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, Asad, did you want to share or did you put something in the chat?
Okay, Assad's iPhone, yeah, we're pointing at you.
You're busted, Asad. You're totally having a sandwich or multitasking, aren't you?
Okay, we'll move to the next one and come back. So,
Okay.
Jerica?
Hey,
Yeah, no,
Sarah.
I'm not busted. I'm here. Uh, my why. I've worked at the Elizabeth Fry Society for 5 years now. And so I've worked very closely with accused and have been able to very clearly see why people are involved in this system and kind of assist them in not only navigating the system and getting a good outcome in court, but getting a good outcome in life. So that's something I want to carry into my legal work. And unfortunately, nonprofit work does not pay well. So it's not something that I could do forever. So I decided to shift it this way to continue to work with the same people and still do the same work, but just I guess on a larger scale and a greater capacity. And then my difficult thing is normally when I go to court, I'm going with senior counsel and I have special sittings and it's quick in and out. As a summer student, it's a lot of dead time and waiting for seniority. So I think that's difficult when you have other things to manage at the same time, like research projects and getting paperwork into the courts and doing other tasks. So I think that's kind of the difficult thing is just the dead time and managing time around that.
And volume, right? Do you have quite high volume? A lot of cases, a lot of things?
I don't really think it's that high, but it's
What's that?
manageable for sure. I think it's manageable for sure.
Manageable. Okay. Okay, good. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, who's next here? You can't see me because I'm Stankaj, the speaker. Does anyone else want to share their why?
I can go.
Yeah.
Tantanuthamak, Nitisingasama Pigano, Oshiniganiso CP. I just said in Cree, hi everybody. My name is Julie Albert. I am from Nori House, Cree Nation. I don't know if you can hear me. I have Starlink, so it's been cutting in and out because of the weather. But I'm up north. I'm actually in Norrie House right now. I'm a summer student for PILK. Entering my third year, and I'm also going to be articling with PILK next year. I don't know. Am I cracking or something?
You're okay. You've got you're articling with PILK next year.
Yeah, but I'm just a summer student right now.
And you're a
Sorry,
summer-
can you
Yeah.
guys hear me well? Am I cracking?
Yeah. What's your biggest challenge?
I'm gonna introduce myself a little bit. So my why for starting going into law is because I grew up on reserves, so there's a lot of inequities, like visible, obviously, and like underfunding of like social support services. The legal system doesn't really serve my people well here. However, I'm really appreciative of how the court works here in Norrie House. I don't know, I'm not sure if any of you have been here on the circuit, but we kind of have home community workers that support the lawyers that come in. The main guy that comes in, his name is Omar, and he's phenomenal. And I'm really grateful and happy to see how well he works in community, how he understands how he has to deliver his services to like First Nation people, obviously in a northern reserve. I'm not involved with that. I work for PILK, so a lot of the things that we do is like we have a lot of First Nation clients. So I think that it the why for me is directly in line with the work that I'm doing now because we do a lot of advocacy work. We do a lot of environmental work, which is what I grew up like knowing and being around is like advocating for the land, advocating, and we're all witnessing the effects of what
Yeah.
climate destruction is doing right now. So
Yeah.
that's my why, and just growing up um with lack of resources and seeing how systems don't work for people. So I want to become a lawyer to understand the law, to be able to be that messenger, I guess, um, that support that my people need to be able to understand how the law works, what types of resources they may need, and just coming down to our level here in like a First Nation reserve. My biggest struggle is the workload right now. I'm sure you all struggle with that. There's so much going on constantly, and there's so much work, like Janessa mentioned, that is constantly popping up because um there's just always priorities and everyone seems everyone's super busy. So I think that's my biggest battle right now. Um, just being able to balance that because I was fortunate enough to work from home, so I'm really grateful that I am home for this summer. But it's been a difficult balance with, taking care of your mental health, supporting yourself, like physically. Yeah, for example, if you play sports or things like that. Um, but other than that, I have enjoyed my summer so far, despite the wildfires. But yeah, nice to meet you all. Sorry, I don't want to put my camera on because I'll be even more glitchier. But yeah, hi everybody.
Hey, thank you for sharing that. I'm not sure what your name is because it wasn't highlighted and I want to get it down. Could you tell me what your name is?
Hi, my name is Julie. It says Juliana, that's my government name, but everyone calls me Julie.
Maybe Catherine can find that.
Do you want me to write it for you?
Yeah. Good.
Tamara, can I write it for you?
Thank you.
Thanks, Caitlin.
Thank you for sharing that, your why and your biggest challenge. It is challenging working from home. And your why, well, you're sure in the right spot to find meaningful work with respect to understanding the legal system and of course environmental law too. PILK, of course, is you'll have an opportunity to actually do that work, which is really important work. So
Absolutely.
yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Okay, we're circling back around to Assad's iPhone.
Where did you write it?
Right there.
Oh, Julie. Okay, thank you, Julie. Hey. No, nothing. You have an option, folks, of just putting something in the chat if you want to share. If you prefer to write something on your own, I would really like you to write it, even if you choose not to share it.
And I don't know who
Is there any
Assad's.
chats or anything? Does anyone else want to
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know that my phone is coming as Asad. My name is Tosif. I've even write it down here. I was just thinking who Asad is. So it's me. My name is Tosif. I'm an art student here in the PA.
Okay.
So my why is that I am like already passionate about the law. I'm a foreign trained lawyer. Actually, my background, I was a lawyer back in Pakistan, and I just moved here in 2015 in Canada, and then I just doing my all NCA competency exam and all those stuff to come back to my field. So I did that, and now I'm doing articling with here with the legal aid officer in the bar. And the biggest challenge I will say here, everything is new to me here. The system as I were used to work in back in Pakistan and as compared to here in Canada. So I think the principle of like a justice or all the court proceedings are totally different here. So I kind of for me it's all something new to me. So I hope that I will learn from the scratch from the bottom to so that's kind of challenging for me, but our staff is good here, especially my principal Miss Ross here is very kind to me, and we are learning very good here.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I just want to point out, Cody had written in here that she doesn't want to hear people saying just summer students, and I agree with her. Don't belittle yourselves in that regard. You're just as important.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so have we heard from everybody that wanted to share?
I believe Harjot had a message in the chat too that was an independent, if you click on it. And then click on HK up there. There we go.
Okay, thank you, Harjo.
Okay, so Harjo's saying, I'm a summer student and will be articling with legal aid next year. My why is law is the only career I've ever known and knew I wanted to be in this profession since I can remember. I've always been interested in criminal law, love and evolving nature of criminal law, and also the fact that I will be challenged. I like to take on challenges, and being on the defense side is definitely going to do that. My biggest challenge for now is controlling my emotions in court today. Sometimes I would like to be in court, and if I hear something, I feel like my face is that I need to learn how to have a poker face. When hearing interesting stuff, we will call it. I would agree. So, yeah, there's no crying in baseball. So when you're in court, you cannot react. I mean, I found myself before the judge is saying, I think the client's lying, whatever. And it's hard not to sit there and nod and be like, yeah, he just made all that up, that kind of thing. But you can't do that. You need to, learn the poker face, because you cannot react to things even when you want to. And sometimes like judges even or crown attorneys are really annoying, but you have to keep a straight face. And the other thing is with a judge, if you preface it with all due respect, Your Honor, or my lord or lady or whatever, then you can kind of say something the judge might not like, but make sure you preface it with that.
Yes. And also forgive yourself if an expression slips out, because you're human. And sometimes, eyebrows will be raised, and court can be very interesting. And judges too don't always keep poker faces. Am I right?
There's more than a couple times I laughed in court. Probably inappropriately, but it's like, okay, how do you not laugh at it?
Okay.
Some of the senior counsel who can weaponize their breaks of the poker face.
Yep.
Like there's a couple of them who that was not an impulsive reaction. You purposely let that slip right there, and that was
like a crown witness or something. You can have that you are totally full of shit look on your face. That kind of thing. We got to learn how to control that when it is and is not appropriate. So.
That was great. Some of you I know have to go court. I get it. And I was here for an hour, and I'm coming back next week. So this is but I think it's really important, because I know all kinds of things about how lawyers can be resilient and thrive in the practice. And so we've really covered a lot of them. The growth mindset, we've heard about that. The relationships, talking to people, sharing, you guys hearing each other's stories and relating to it and nodding and, you have a lot more in common than you think. And you're learning too that with clients that you're seeing, there's certainly things that are different, and there's also things in common, like your humanness and things, your experience and your potential for hope, and your potential to be heard. And we have a lot more in common with our clients too than we think. But it's so important to have each other's backs, give each other's grace, give yourself grace, and that's not easy. A lot of lawyers are very perfectionist, and that's it attracts that, like the profession attracts that. It also attracts creativity, and it also it attracts all kinds of people. But you want to make sure you just enjoy this journey. And life doesn't start when you finish law school or finish articling or at any given fence post along the way. You don't have time for that. Life is immediately happening. And so you need to have a bit of joy every day. And you need to be really intentional about that, because it's not easy. And when those clients maybe reduce you to tears because they've, having a very hard day, like one of the slides is, what challenges can trauma create in the delivery of legal services? We've heard about that too. We kind of covered, people were saying, like, people are, there's trauma, they're yelling at me a lot, and they're going through such a terrible time. Steve already, that can be a real challenge. And you're also identifying the challenges. Well, how do I hold space for that? How do I make them feel more comfortable, a little more safer? Because another way trauma can show up is fear, not telling you anything, frankly. And it's not that they tell you after 3 meetings because they've been lying. It's because they don't trust you yet. So that's a whole other course all by itself, for sure, which I'm happy to spend time with you to do that. But so we have actually identified some good, let's see if I can make this go further. No, I can't. No, I can't. Anyways, some of the things that I wanted to talk about today. It's 1 o'clock, and so we can come back and we can talk about how important it is for self-care. And one of the reasons why it's so important is this slide right here. Burnout, psychological distress. We're going to go super fast on the slide. But guess what? We can reduce these numbers. And guess what helps? Relationships. That's one of the things that helps lawyers get through it, frankly. And we need that, and also gives us joy. So be open to being there for each other and getting to know each other. Also, the other thing that helps is boundaries and assertiveness. So when you've got a whole list of things that you have to do, and someone rolls in and says priority, you're like, how am I going to meet these deadlines, right? That was something else identified here. So communication is key. And by boundaries, you don't say, no, take off. I've got too much on my plate. That's not going to work. But what you can do is have your table. Make a table, make it now. And maybe you already have one. And it has all your lists. Keep a list going all the time of all the files that you're working on for different lawyers. So you have your file, your lawyer, your deadline. And then when someone comes in and says, hi there, I'd like you to write a factum for, or research this or this. Perfect, says you. Just where should I put this on the priority list? Here's my deadlines and here's what I have. Where should this go? And what you're doing in a super respectful way, and you're helping the senior lawyer totally out because they have no idea, because they're really focusing on their own practice, for Pete's sake. You're communicating in an assertive way, not aggressive, assertive. And then they can say, oh, that's what's happening. And then there's more shared information. There's my timer telling me I've been an hour. So stop it. There we go. Oh, okay. Good. So we've identified some of these things. So boundaries means checking out. You need to turn it off. Not easy. Anybody waking at night and dreaming about your files? Yes. Okay. Been there. been there. So how the heck do we manage that? We can talk about that in our next class, but I need you to practice this week. What do I want you to practice this week? I want you to write down that why for yourself, because you may need to go back to it. One of the things that also helps us get through stress, basically we can get through anything if we have a why. If there's a will. It's ridiculous what we can do if there's enough of a will. Through the ups and the downs and the highs and the lows. So do write down your meaningful, like why you're doing it, and have it somewhere where you can see it periodically so you don't forget over your lifetime, and that your why may evolve. Okay. But the second thing I'd like you to do is note your challenge area. Just note it. And then over the next week, I've mentioned to you about boundaries. So thinking about checking out, turning it off. And so we don't have time to share everybody's strategies, right? For self-care, how we do that, how we go back to sleep, how we sleep. But I want you all have something in your pocket that you've had to use at some point in your life. So I want you over the next week to reflect on your challenges and even I would love it if you wrote it down just for yourself, and then write down what works or what used to work and what can you try? Because very often we kind of know what maybe we can do. Have you guys all done like the deep breathing and stuff? You've all been shown that, right? So we may know, but we completely forget, or we just don't have the energy to access those self-care tools. We're so exhausted. You need to access them in whatever micro way you have. You don't have 10 minutes to medicate or med. But you could take 3 deep breaths. And you could take the stairs to lower your spinning mind. You could walk around the block at lunch hour. Yes, you can, no matter how busy you are. It's hard for it to withstand a walking motion. Our brains respond to bilateral, eyes looking around. It takes that amygdala, that panic eye offline. So use the walk. No, you don't have an hour for a long walk. You're way too busy. So what? So you take a 10-minute walk or a 5-minute walk or a 20-minute walk at the end of the day. And you visualize your work just sitting there happily on its desk, and you're not going to check your emails at night. And in the morning, it'll be there waiting for you. You don't need to bring it home. And if you think of something before you go to bed, like, shh, I've got to do this, I'm going to forget, write it down, slip it in your bag. You can sleep soundly because you won't forget because you've written it down. And in the morning when you get here, you'll have it out. So a few little things, like try what works for you. We're going to come back next week because I know you all have to work. Is that okay?
Sounds great.
Okay. So a few things to think about there. And they make a difference. Boundaries make a difference. So do try and have them with yourself, and maybe even write it down, a boundary you want to practice this week. See how it goes, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, it is attainable. Okay.
Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us today. Again, as Tamara mentioned, there will be another session and next Friday, same place. I'll send out the Zoom link for that one as well. But we hope you can all join us again next week.
Okay.
And thank you, Tamara, for your assistance today.
Thank you. How are you today? Do you guys want to talk about like a trauma-informed kind of interviewing and practice? Are you interested in that? Or are you getting enough training in this area? Do you want to talk about that next week? I want to talk about that. Yes. Yeah. We can show up like some trauma we know, like someone's yelling at you, they're really, and some you might not, like missing appointments.
Oh, yeah.
And not coming to court. And it's not that they're out to make your life miserable. That maybe, well, it could be all kinds of reasons, but one of them could absolutely be like, I can't deal with it.
Or the interviewees that just don't say anything or agree with everything you've said, despite knowing that they're not agreeing with what you said.
Yeah. The building trust is the key, and the big challenge to building trust is you don't have very much time. Yeah. And so the system maybe needs to evolve
continue, and I'm not an